guys, let's get right into it. Porsha, where are your receipts? I'm still waiting. These were not receipts. Kenya was basically just venting to somebody who she thought was her friend at the time about her girlfriend. Like, we all do that. Like, especially when you're in a group of girls, if you feeling like, you and your really good girlfriend is going through something, you won't vent to her those issues yet. You'll vent to somebody else, somebody who you think is partial, who will give you a level-headed response, a way to respond to the issue that you're having with your really good girlfriend in a way where you will protect your friendship and not damage it. So she'd rather, vent her issues to Porsha than vent her issues to Cynthia because she doesn't want to be too harsh and, mess up the relationship. Also, it seems like from those texts, y'all was both talking about a lot of people in that text thread. So when you screenshot what she wrote to you, you made sure not to screenshot and send to Andy what you were saying. Girl, you have been the queen of these reunions, but ma'am, these receipts were non-existent. Can you believe that, and no shade, that Cynthia was the only one making sense this reunion? Like when Andy would go to her for stuff, except for the stuff concerning Kenya. And let me just say this, a lot of people were saying that Kenya and Kandi were wrong because they were defending Kenya and they weren't calling out her mess. Not saying that they weren't wrong, right? But I think, and how Cynthia has always said it, I will check my friend in private. I think that's how we all are, especially with your really good friend. Like, my friends could be dead wrong, right? I am not checking them in front of you. That's just not happening. I will take them aside and be like, now listen, I got your back. You know what I mean? If they start jumping you, I'm in. But you were wrong for this. Like, you caused this mess. And after this, we're going to go to a diner. Unless you get arrested, then after you get bailed out, then maybe we'll go, to your mama house and do some prayer. But what I will do is still, check you in private because you are my friend and I am not going to check you in front of people who do not like you. What friend would do that? So that's what I got from that. Yes, they were wrong. Kenya, has been messy since she got on the show. This is what she is being paid to do, period. But now they're friends and they're just not going to, tell her enemies that she was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, nobody would do that to a friend. Nobody. However, I will say Kandi got on my nerves because she was defending a lot of mess. But again, she was, protecting her friend, Cynthia. Cynthia was just agreeing to some foolishness. That aside, everything else, I really enjoyed her. I thought she had a level-headed perspective concerning everything that happened this season, even when she said with the receipts with Porsha that they really weren't receipts. And, she just had great responses. And I was like, yes, Cynthia. I guess for me, she was the only one who was making sense because she just wasn't screaming and acting a fool. You know what I mean? She wasn't, oh, you on my show. You on my show. I'm embedded in your mind. She was just sitting there and just, really speaking about what her experience was this season and what her perspective was on it. And I felt like because she was so calm, cool, and collected, we could understand her and we were able to get more from her this episode because we weren't able to get anything from her last episode because everybody was just screaming at each other. I agree with Cynthia this entire episode. Wow, this has never happened. This reunion for me also let me know that Kenya still wants to work on a relationship with Porsha because Porsha has been coming for her ever since the last few episodes of the season, and every reunion that we have seen so far, Porsha has come for her multiple times. Kenya will not bite back. She is very chill with her, and I don't think it's because she doesn't respect her. I don't think it's because she's not intimidated her about or anything like that. I think I was just getting that she still wants to work on something with her. And I was kind of getting the same thing from Porsha, but it was just really weird how Porsha was throwing daggers at her and she was chill, but Nene breathes and she has something evil to say. It's just really weird because I'm just like, they are both throwing daggers at you, but you're being very lenient with Porsha and not Nene. I don't know, guys. I think this is what's happening here because just watching this, none of this makes sense if we're in reality, right? But on this TV show, I feel like we have a cast of women bonding together and trying to get the rest of the cast on their side to get rid of a very powerful castmate. This is giving me the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, how they all banded together to take down Lisa Vanderpump. I think this cast is trying to do the same thing with Nene. And Porsha is the only one riding for her. The other people who are riding for Nene are friends of the show, so that doesn't really matter. But Porsha, she's definitely a very important cast member on this show. If they get her and everybody is on one accord, Nene might be gone. Nene might be gone, or the network might fire them and keep Nene and hire on new people. So you never know how the network works. See, we can watch it and we can think one thing, right? The network goes by numbers. So what they do basically is they watch every episode, and they watch the numbers for viewership comes in, because that is something that they have to hand over to advertisers so that they can continue to be paid for allowing the advertisers to show commercials during their commercial breaks for their shows, right? So the network is all numbers. There is no heart there. There is no feeling. It's just numbers. So what they're saying is the numbers come in, right? But they're doing it for every episode. There's literally a person who watches the viewership of every episode and reports back to the network executives. So I don't know if the views are in Kenya and Candy's favor, you know, when they're coming after Nene, then maybe if the views are in Nene's favor, those girls could go. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen next season, because the ladies have gotten together towards the end of the season, right? So right now it's Kenya, Candy, and Eva, and Cynthia. And it's Porsha and Nene and Tanya and Marlo. But again, it's just really Porsha and Nene because they're peach holders. Unless Tanya comes back as a peach holder next season, then maybe that may change the game. I don't know. But I don't think she will, because I was watching, she did a live interview with LaToya Stroman, who was a producer on one of them shows. She and Tanya have a relationship, and she did an interview with her, and it's called A Seat at the Table with LaToya. If the interview is still up, I'll put a link in my description box. But in the interview, she said, and you guys are right, I have to apologize, because I was always saying that Tanya wasn't offered a peach by the network. Come to find out, she was offered several times. She turned it down to be a friend of the show. That's what she asked for every time. They wanted her, they pursued her in casting, and they wanted her to be on the show. And she said, fine, but only as a friend. They wanted her to be a full-time peach holder, but she said no, because she just did not want to show that much of her life. She wanted to keep some things private. So I respect that, right? So I don't think, especially after this season with Kenya trying to mess with her engagement, I don't think that she's coming back as a full-time peach holder. I think she's just going to remain a friend of the show. So at this point, it's just Nene and Porsha. And if they get Porsha, who knows? It all depends on the viewership. It really, really does, because the ladies can make demands all they want. If they are not bringing in the views, you could be replaced. Everybody's replaceable in Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's all about money, and it's all about numbers, and the numbers are money. But that's what it looks like to me. It's looking like a takedown. We are getting a Vanderpump takedown on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me tell you something. These girls are linking up and taking out the OGs. Wow. You OGs better stay woke. These girls are coming for your crown. Collectively. Eva stayed quiet this reunion. I will say this though, she probably did have a lot to say, but the editors just cut a lot of her stuff out. That's what it looks like to me. I don't think that after, Porsha said that she would, virtually beat her up. And Porsha, listen, if you have a problem with putting your hands on cast members and almost lost your job for being, physically violent, maybe you should not be throwing out threats like that. Because when you kept on saying that you were going to assault Eva through the computer screen, Andy was like, you know what I mean? Like, that's still your boss at the end of the day. You know what I mean? He probably doesn't hold as much power because he relinquished a lot of his shares in the company to become a host for Watch What Happens Live, because that's his dream. Live your best life. However, that's still your boss. So I was just like, girl, stop the violence, okay? But I don't think that Eva stayed quiet because she told her to stay quiet. I think that Eva stayed quiet because she was cut out a lot of the show until we got to the part about her ex, Kevin, and how she broke down talking about him and how she expressed how, he beat her up. And it was just a very violent relationship. I do respect her telling the truth of it, though. She was just like, listen, I was having sex with this guy and I got pregnant. And we basically tried to make it work, but I didn't know him. She let the world know. I didn't know this dude, and I laid down and had sex with him, and I had a child with him, and we tried to make it work. But, the more time she spent with him, the more that she saw that he was not well. And by that point, she was like in this relationship, and this dude was beating her up. You know, it's very sad and unfortunate. And I hope if she comes back next season, she just stops talking about him, right? Because we have to be honest here. A lot of Eva's storyline was, I'm pregnant and the donor is crazy and I am changing my daughter's last name and I am allowing my husband to adopt my daughter. Like, I just feel like if your man ain't well, right? And maybe it's because I watch a lot of ID channel. If your man ain't well and the authorities are not helping you, don't poke the crazy bear. You know what I mean? If this dude isn't well, and that is my interpretation as well. I'm no doctor, but he does not seem well to me. I wouldn't dance with that demon for a check. You know what I mean? And I feel like she's been coached into talking about that, because even just Andy asking her some questions, she was falling out about that. But I think because all she had going on was the fact that she was pregnant, I feel like she was probably encouraged to talk about him and film these things. I don't think that she would do that on her own if she's afraid of this guy. And I hope if she does come back, she puts her foot down and she's just like, listen, this is my life we're playing with. I don't want to, dance with that demon. So let me bring something else. And I think this is her showing us that she can bring something else. And maybe with this clique of Candy, Cynthia, and Kenya, maybe they can have something going on. And I probably think that what they'll have going on is the takedown of Nene. Listen, it ain't right, but it'll be good TV. You know what I mean? A takedown of Nene, good TV, because we will have to see these ladies work for these checks. I think that might happen next season, and I hope if she does come back, girl, don't stop talking about that dude. He's not well. Even if they encourage you to do that, say no. Even if you gotta go, you know what I mean? If you have to talk about him to be on that show, I would say your life and your family's life is worth more than what any opportunities that this show could give you. So let's talk about Kenya being riled up about the B word and, see you next Tuesday, calling Tanya that. Here's the thing, right? Kenya, it was so crazy to see her fall out and be like, oh, don't call me that. That's offensive and all of that stuff. And just really, getting into her feelings about it. But as soon as she got angry, she would start calling people, bees. And I'm like, wait, if that offends you, why are you using that to other people? Because it hurts. It hurts you. So you want to, hurt people back with that. And it's just, this is the thing that a lot of her castmates have with her, who have issues with her, is that she just doesn't stand on her word. Like, Kenya makes rules for everybody else, but she does not abide by any of them. So everybody else is looking at her like, well, you said that you don't like being called that, but you're calling me that. Or you said that families are off limits, but you talk about everybody else's family. You said that men are off limits, but you talk about everybody's, marriage and everything. So they just feel like she doesn't practice what she preaches. And I agree. From what we have seen, I'm like, I agree. And it can't always be, well, I'm being attacked and I'm being pushed into a corner when the people who are attacking you are people who you have attacked as well. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like she never takes responsibility. And even when she finally realizes that she has to apologize, it's not a sincere apology. I don't feel like she gave Tanya a sincere apology. I don't feel like she did it any time. And even when she tried to say it again, because Andy was forcing her to do that, because in that community, and the white community, that is something that they don't like. Like, you cannot call a white woman, I'll see you next Tuesday. Okay. That is their N-word. Okay. Like, you just cannot say that. And I honestly think that she knew what she was doing when she called Tanya, see you next Tuesday. You know what I mean? I think, listen, that's a lesson in battle. You know what I mean? One thing you have to do is always know your enemy. You know what I mean? So you might come at Nene about her, nose or whatever, her features, because that is something that she's very insecure about. But you'll come at Tanya by calling her, see you next Tuesday, because that by the way that she carries herself and by the way that she speaks, that she probably was raised in a community where a word like that cuts deep. She knew her enemy and she came at her that way, although we all know that she was wrong. Like, nobody, even people who are Kenya stans, nobody has agreed with what she did to Tanya and how she treated her. And honestly, for someone who is this huge villain, this is her job. I don't care what anybody says, right? I don't care what the Kenya stans, the Satanists, have to say about my perspective on Kenya or anybody on the show. Really, because to be quite honest with you, I'm not coming here doing this review as a fan. I'm coming here doing this review as someone who just, I'm I'm quarantined. You know what I mean? I also like this show. I'm not a fan of it. Like if it gets canceled, no shade. I don't never want to see a black woman without a check, but I'll be okay. Like I won't be crying. And like I told you, I reviewed this show and I just go on about my business. I'm not on there. And so I'm not following those women. I don't care. Here is why. Not that they're not important and not that your fandom of them is not important. I love that. You know what I mean? I love the fact that there are people who will, you know, fight tooth and nails in my comment section about these black women. Ride for us. Thank you, right? However, when I review this show, I review this show as an industry professional, period. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Even when I'm joking about it, I know what I'm talking about. I have seen the wizard behind the curtain. So that's another reason why I feel comfortable with speaking about this show, because to be quite honest with you, about 10% of it is real. A lot of it is manipulated for entertainment. So I'm really fine with making comments or whatever, and the women getting upset and doing all of that. What you guys don't know is that when the director yells cut, everybody are buddy-buddy. Like they're co-workers. To be quite honest with you, none of these women are best friends on this show. They're co-workers. They're giving you a show. So I don't care what people who disagree with me think. Like I say, you know, get in the comment section and let's talk about it. But I'm talking about, you know, the dogmatic psychos. It's just like, guys, you are too big. At your big age, you cannot believe that this is the real deal, right? So to the Kenya people or whatever, be like, oh my goodness, you just don't like her. Let me tell you something. I know what I'm talking about. This woman is being paid to be a villain on the show. You need a villain. You just do. You need somebody who is careless, who is heartless, who will start some mess. You need somebody who does not care. And that's who she is on this show. I don't know this woman outside of the show, but on this show, she is being paid to be a villain. So I said all that to say, you can't come on here when your job is to be a villain and be extra sensitive. You got to dish it out and cut and move forward because this is what you are being paid to do. Kenya is very sensitive. Like if anybody calls her on something, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm being attacked and I'm being this. No, you're just being called on the carpet for your mess. You cannot be trying to break up people's marriages or people's engagements or people's 10-year relationship and then get upset when people are like, oh no, you're wrong. Mama, this is the crown you chose to wear. Accept your fate, own up to it, and move forward because now you're giving me victim and not villain. Play your part. And since we're here, let's stay on Kenya for a bit. One thing about her that she never falters on is reading. Mama can read. Mama can read. Wait a minute before we go into it. Speaking of reading, Kenya called it out the whole episode with everybody because I don't know who exposed it, but it had to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Somebody years ago exposed that the ladies get, especially Nene, get readers, like people to specifically, shady gay men to write, reads for them. I don't think that Kenya does that. I think that is just who she is. I think she has had to, I wouldn't be surprised if she was bullied. She gives me, I was bullied, so I became the bully. Like, that's what she gives me. I get that from her, that she was mistreated, as a kid. I don't know if it's from her family or, from people in the neighborhood, but she gives me, I had to fight all my life. And normally when you are in that kind of position, you spend a lot of time preparing for battle. I don't think that she gets rehearsed reads. I think everybody else does. And she was calling that out on everybody. And baby, it sure was exposed on Nene. You know what? This show is so shady. Because when Nene, come to find out, she closed her laptop because Giovanna from Clark Atlanta, why did I say her name like that? Giovanna from Clark Atlanta was coming on and she didn't want to face her because Giovanna was probably going to expose her. That's what I got from it. But when she closed her laptop, she's done it twice. She did it once when she was going to the bathroom. And I think with her just being very antsy and moving around and getting real hype, she moved her laptop around. And the piece of paper that she had that we saw a bit of when she went to the bathroom, we saw not a majority, but a lot of it where we could see that it was like notes that she was taking. And it looked like it was, some rehearsed reads or something like that she had written down. And I was just like, listen, mama, you have been exposed. How you going to come back from that? Nene, you have to be able to take the heat. You cannot be an OG. You cannot be this big of a presence and not be able to stand your ground. You cannot let people who did not start this come on and overtake you. If you keep on saying you're that girl, the minute you start acting this way and getting frustrated, you are showing that you're not as strong as you portray, and you're not as confident anymore in this position that you now hold. To say it plainly, you acting shook. That's what it is. Anyway, back to Kenya, who can actually read, and I don't think she writes them down or buys them from people. She was reading these girls down all night. She was so quick because when Marlo came in and was trying to talk about her, and somebody said something about her never having a man, and she's just like, why do y'all keep on talking about me not having a man when the only man that you brought on this show, Marlo, was a dude y'all both effing? And I was like, somebody get me off this couch. This is her. This is who she is. And I honestly think it's because she's just had to fight a lot. I'm telling you, when you have been bullied, you either become the bully or you have a mouth on you that nobody can tame. Trust me, I know I was bullied, but baby, when mama started getting some height and these muscles started to get a little thick, I was able to read them people down, and they did nothing because they were afraid of NikkiStar, who had no hesitation with picking up a brick or a broken glass bottle to get down in the streets because, baby, you wasn't touching this face. No, sir, no, ma'am. All's fair in the hood. I got into a fight. I think it was 4th grade. And these girls tried to jump me because I was obsessed with Punky Brewster. And I used to dress like her all the time. My mom would buy me like rainbow Gap jackets and like different color Converse. Like I was that kid. I used to wear glitter beads in my hair. And these girls hated me for that because I just was not like anybody else. I was different and I loved it. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't ashamed that I wasn't like everybody else. And you know, kids are kids. They clicked up and they, you know, tried to fight me. And because I was very quiet and I didn't fight, they thought that I was that girl. And so these girls walked me home and harassed me the whole time. And I said nothing. I was very quiet because my mama taught me, don't put your hands on nobody unless they put their hands on you. And this girl grabbed my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book bag and pulled me down. And as I was going down, my hand rested upon a brick that was slippery on somebody's porch. I picked that brick up and I beat that entire group of kids up to the point where somebody came out and was like, hey. I walked home with that brick in my hand. I told my mom everything. And you know what my mama said? Good. So Kenya, I get you. But I got sweet later in life. You still are in war, honey. Get out of there, especially now that you're a mama. That warmth has to come through. You know what? But you get paid to be this, so live your best life. Are you and Mark together or not? Because before she said they were working it out, having virtual therapy. Listen, I didn't want to address it because I feel like it's just Kenya Stan saying this. But when I said in last week's review, when I said that Andy caught Kenya in a lie, I was saying that her response to me made me feel like, to that question that Andy asked her about virtual therapy, her response made me feel like she was lying about something because she got snappy right away. And I didn't think that Andy was being messy, right? But I just didn't, the way she came at him, I was just like, you probably were that way because it's not true. I did not say that virtual therapy doesn't exist. I even talked about it in the comments section. I know people who have been doing it before the pandemic. I actually was thinking about doing it before the pandemic. So virtual therapy exists. It has existed for years, okay? Probably, since the beginning of internet. I never said that doesn't exist, but I just think it came that common. The people who had a problem with it probably just have a problem with me saying anything about your queen. Get used to it. Because I'm going to read everybody down. It's a review. Chuckle, don't go on about your day. It ain't that serious. It's just entertainment. And I will say this. I don't know if it's because he didn't like that she got a little sassy with him, but Andy was not laying off her neck this episode. He went after her for a good 10 minutes. Like, everything was Kenya, but you said this. So how is that fair? You can do this, but nobody else can. You can F with everybody else's business, but nobody can F with your business. He was not letting her up for air. What happened, Andy? Because he don't go off the Nene like that. Message. Say what you want. Phaedra and Nene are his favorite housewives. Trust me. So a lot of people thought that she was corny. I don't think she was. I'm talking about Tanya. I think that she read Kenya in a Tanya kind of way. Like, Tanya's not a rough gutter girl. You know what I mean? And not saying that these ladies are exclusively gutter. They can get gutter. Tanya will never be able to get gutter. That's not who she is. She read her in her own Tanya way. And I love that. I love that she stood up for herself. I love that she, challenged Kenya's mess. I love that she called her out on the fact that she never gave her a real apology. It is only saying something now because everybody is saying, except for Kandi and Cynthia, everybody is saying, except for those two, that what she did was wrong. I love that. You know what I mean? What did she say? You shot? You tried to take a shot and you were shooting blanks. Listen, she read her in her own Tanya way, and Kenya came back with, good job. The girl is built for this. Say what you want about her. She is built for this. And you know who else is built for this? Porsha. She cracked me up this entire reunion. We have a question from Atlanta. Porsha. She's good TV. She was so good. Andy just stopped and let her run the reunion for a minute. Like, he was just like, go ahead, Porsha. Great job. He was watching this and getting his life as well. She owned these two reunions. Like, I don't know what she's going to do for part 3. I have no idea. And the fact that she has gotten so much screen time during this reunion lets me know that there was so much of her. They edited this show around Porsha. So here is something that we may disagree with. I agree with Kandi concerning the cookie lady. She was like, listen, Tanya, me and you are not cool like that. Basically, we're co-workers. I'm actually trying to build something with Kenya and Eva. And I wasn't there, so I don't have an opinion of it. You have to fight your own battles just like we do. Tanya also had a point, and she was just like, but if we were talking about Todd, you would have felt some sort of way that nobody jumped in and said anything. I agree with the both of them, right? Here's why I agree with Kandi, because yes, if you want to be a part of this, you got to know how to fight like these ladies fight. Kandi has weathered some storms on the show. Tanya should be able to weather her storms. Also, she probably said something to Kenya in private, and I think she said that on a reunion, but that's her friend, guys. She's not going to agree with Tanya against her friend, even if Tanya is right. And I also agree with Tanya because Kandi would have been pissed if they were at that table and somebody was, somebody that Todd had slept with had came in and, they were dragging, Todd for filth and Kandi wasn't there. But if nobody would have stopped it or if nobody had an opinion at the reunion, she would feel some kind of way. But Kandi is protecting her friend, acting oblivious to Kenya's mess in public. And Tanya is saying, it would have been different if it was you. So I agree with the both of them, but I don't think that Kandi did anything wrong. I think that her not saying anything, wasn't the best look, but can we call it wrong? She's not close with Tanya. She's close with Kenya. Like, guys, you know who you would ride for in a situation with your friend or your coworker. You would ride for your friend. Let's not get brand new here. Let's talk real. Here's another point where y'all might disagree with me. I do not think that Nene was talking about Kandi. I think Nene was talking about Kim Zolciak because remember, they just got in an okay situation. They were beefing all the way up until a couple months ago. So I do think at that time she was talking about Kim Zolciak, but because her and Kim are now cool, she's not going to say Kim. She's not even going to try to defend the comment. She's just going to avoid it because that comment was about her friend. Because I do know that Kandi has had, shows, but they've never made it to pilot. Like, she has been given opportunities with the network, but they've never made it, to even the set to film the pilot. Like, they've never been off the ground. Kim Zolciak has had multiple spinoffs and is still eating well off of one of her spinoffs. So I thought that she was talking about Kim. I don't think that she was talking about Kandi, but because they're not in a good space, she's not going to, throw her friend who she is in, starting to get in a good space with under the bus. I don't even know why I'm sitting here talking to Miss Forgettable. I'm forgettable. B, you was singing my songs before I even got here. Listen, points were made. points were made. So the episode ends with Nene leaving because Giovanna from Clark, Atlanta is about to come on stage or come to her computer and expose something. Who knows? But that was part 2 of the reunion. Those are my thoughts. What did you think about this reunion? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. And if you like what you see here, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you the following week for the following episode of 90 Day Fiancé. The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Love you guys. Bye.